Hi everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are enjoying your holiday weekend, and thank you so much for coming in to watch this video. In this one, we're going to take a look at a couple of things. So we'll take a look at where Bitcoin is right now. We'll also take a look at Cleanspark executive selling shares recently here in the last week. We'll take a look at that, what that actually means, and then we'll take a look at where the miners are compared to the Bitcoin network hash rate as far as their share of it. We'll take a look at that, and we'll take a look at the weekly performance for the miners here against Bitcoin as well. That'll be towards the end of the video, and then we'll call it a day. We'll make it kind of easy, okay? But as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research and invest in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at Bitcoin here really quick, see what's going on there. And Bitcoin is kind of flat on the day-to-day. It was kind of expected, right? We got the holiday weekend. People are out preparing for the holidays, which is going to be tomorrow for Christmas. And so kind of expected that to be kind of flat more or less on the day. So we kind of got that. We're at 43,803 right now. We were down on the day. Yesterday a little bit, we were down 0.65%, not a big deal. We're slightly up now, right now, but we're still kind of going sideways. RSI is looking good, so nothing really there to complain. We'll see, obviously, how we do after the holidays. We got the New Year coming up in a week as well, so that's kind of the lull here in the markets that we might see. Okay, so let's take a look at the story that we do have here on Cleanspark. Somebody tweeted this to me, not tweeted this, provided me the information that they actually had executives selling shares on our Discord channel, which is through which is our private channel through Patreon. And I looked into this. I'm like, okay, let's find out what's going on here. What's happening? Why are they selling? And here's kind of what we found out. We do have obviously the top executives here. So Matthew Schultz sold some, but he also got shares. So the reason he's selling is because he got shares. But here's what we do have here. He got basically 270,000 shares of the company. And there's a nice little, what's that called? Not an asterisk. I'm drawing a blank here, but number one here. So we'll take a look at that here in a second. And then he sold shares, 118,800 shares. That's number two here. So number one, if we go down here, which was nice of them to provide this, otherwise we'd have to look at the ownership form codes, which is for form 4 for SEC. And you can kind of see here why they are selling shares. So they stated F here on one of them, which if we look over here as F is when they were selling. M, obviously here, if we look at M, what is M? M is exercise or conversion of derivative security exempted pursuant to Rule 116B-3. Okay, that's beyond my comprehension on this, but at least we know what's going on here. So if we look at it here, down here, and this is pretty much applies to all three here, but we'll take a look at them nonetheless. So number one is just saying that they received share issued in settlement of restricted stock units granted in 2023, which vested upon the issuer achieving a specified price per share over a designated period of time representing 200% of the issuer's stock price on the grant date. Okay, so that's the explanation there. They reached a certain price point on the share per price. Basically, this is a bonus to them. So very nice bonus, not to mention. But definitely nice bonus there for them. So 270,000, if you multiply that times the stock price of $10.92 roughly. So let's see, what is that? Let me pull up my calculator here on my phone. And we got 270,000. Oops, sorry, I messed up. Wow, my fingers are not generating the touches. Okay, 270,000 times 10.92. He received a 2.9 million bonus. I wish it was 2.9 billion. Heck, I would have loved that. 2.9 million bonus here for reaching a certain price, stock price. Okay, and then he paid in taxes basically. If we clear this out, 118,800 times 10.92. We end up with 1.29, almost 1.3 million in taxes that he had to pay on it. So this is why they're selling it, right? I don't think anybody has 1.3 million just laying around. So this is what happens here. We saw the same thing here from Gary Anthony V. I can't really pronounce his name, so I do apologize there. I'm not going to even try. But he got 200,000 shares, which is obviously a nice bonus there. And he sold 78,700 of that at the same price. And that's to pay for taxes. Same explanation that we saw with Matthew here. And then we got Bradford Zachary. He got 300,000 shares, and he sold 120,000 shares basically to pay the taxes on. Same thing that we saw here. We do have some other things here as well. Number 3, number 4, what are those? The reporting person is the sole shareholder in ZRB Holdings, Inc. And then number 4, the reporting person is a member of a limited liability company, Blue Chip Advisors, LLC, that directly owns the reported securities. The reporting person disclaims beneficial ownership of these securities except to the extent of the reporting person's wow, I can't pronounce that. That's the first time I'm seeing that word. Pecuniary interest therein, and the inclusion of these shares in this report shall not be deemed an admission of beneficial ownership of. Wow, okay. So that's definitely a little, well, I guess you could say business holdings and trying to protect taxes as much as possible. In a nutshell, basically, is what I'm getting at here, I think, from these two. So, yes, they sold shares. They sold total 120 there. 78, so you're looking at almost 200,000 there, and another 118, so about 318,000 shares roughly that they sold. So that's definitely quite a bit there. But the reason we know is for tax purposes, okay? So that is it. Just wanted to point that out to you guys so you guys are aware of that. And let's take a look at the network hash rate comparison to publicly traded Bitcoin miners combined hash rate. So we're looking for the numbers here in November, right? What they reported as far as the network hash rate is at. I'm using the 30-day average on the Bitcoin network hash rate. So we're using that number. And then we're also looking at the miners as far as what the total hash rate was at the end of the month here for all the miners. So at the end of November, we were at 474 million or 474 exahash on the network. And then the miners had 117 exahash of that. So that equated to about 24.7 exahash or 24.7% of the network share that the miners have that I track alone. Okay, looking down here, we can see that the network added 28 exahash while the miners only added 10.29. Okay, and then here's you can see the percentage overall over the last, I guess you could say almost 2 years, I think, on this, how that has transpired over time. So they started out 2 years ago at about 16% of the network hash rate. Now they peaked in July of this year at 27%. They've been coming down here a little bit here towards August, September, October. Excuse me, and then we're back up at 24%, so that's good there as well. Month over month hash rate percent increase or decrease. The miners did increase by 9.6%, so a pretty good increase here. We saw very little increases here in August, September, and October from the miners that I track. As you can see down here, so you can see all the data here going back. And then we're looking at the actual miners here themselves, what they had as far as the network percentage of the network. So what was their exahash percentage of the total network? All right, so we're looking at two things here. We're looking at the kind of yellow greenish line here, and then we're also looking at the teal line, which is the previous month. So this was their previous month number as far as what their percentage was of the network hash rate. The greenish line here, yellow line, whatever you want to call it, is for November. So you can see here that all of these guys have lost basically network share over the time frame. And the only one that really increased was Hut 8. And Hut 8, the only reason that they increased was because they merged with USBTC. That got them to 7.5 or 7.3 exahash compared to where they were at 2 point something. So they're the only ones that increased here. But everybody else, for the most part, has lost share in the network hash rate, percentage-wise. Okay. Big ones obviously here are Mara, but not big losers, but just overall number of, well, this one actually should have been increased here. Why is this one showing me less? That is funky. 0.05. Yellow is current month. Teal is the previous month. So we got 3.52. This one's showing 0.045. Let's take a look at the data here that we have here on them. Where is this being pulled from? Make sure we're doing the right thing. And that is being pulled in from, let me see here, right there, minus comparison. Down here, and it's all the way down here. Okay, so Marathon is right there, 5.5. Prior month, they were at 0.45. Now they're 0.05. That should have been over it. Why isn't it not over it? So let's take a look at the settings here while we look at this. See, sometimes I catch things that are just off automatically when I'm actually talking about this stuff. So if we look at the format here on this, let's see here, chart, series, take a look at where we have the axis at. That's all auto. So that should be coming up good. Let's see here, what about the other one? So we pull this one down to compare them against. And then let's do this one max. We'll make it 1, and we'll do the same thing for the other one. Oh, what? maybe we should change that down to 0.01. Okay, getting a little bit closer there. Okay, apologize for this, but at least we're going to get good data here, or at least good comparison on the charts on things. This one will set up as also 0.001, and we'll see how this all stacks up now. Okay, so I think that should probably look better. Instead of being automatically set, there we go. That makes more sense to me now than it did before. Okay, so a little change here. So now we can see that BitDigital actually increased their percentage share by a little bit here. They were at 0.0047, which would be basically 0.5%, basically, to getting to a little bit over closer to 0.5% here. You can see the little yellow line being over the blue line. So they increased theirs. Everybody else here pretty much has decreased, except for, like I said, Hut 8, which they merged. And Marathon obviously increased theirs as well, because they increased by like 4 exahash here in November. So, okay, that makes more sense. Now the data is showing up properly. Who else do we have here? Everybody else here is down for the month of November, looks like. And that all makes sense here as well. All right, so we got it figured out. Little formatting error on the charts. But overall, we can see here that the numbers did decrease for everybody here, except for, like I said, Hut 8, Marathon, and BitDigital. BitDigital increased their hash rate as well quite nicely here. So that's helping them out. Everybody else has lost market share basically in the network hash rate comparison, okay? So that is it for that. So let me know what you guys think of that. And we'll talk about it in the comments, obviously. And then let's take a look at the weekly metrics here as far as how the miners did against Bitcoin really quick. It was pretty interesting week as well. We've had a lot of gains here this past week. I'm going to take a sip of water here really quick. All right. So Core had a great week this week. It passed $1 in price per share, which was fantastic for a lot of you guys, obviously, that are investing in Core. It's now up 3,000% from the very bottom that we saw earlier this year, which was probably right around the beginning of January, I want to say. I think they reached that like 4 cents or something like that. So they're obviously up huge. So anybody that bought at 4 cents, congrats to you. You are doing pretty well if you held on to this point, if you haven't sold in the past. Next is Cypher. Cypher's up huge as well. 955%, had a great week this week. Marathon's up huge as well, 758%. Then you got Iris up 720%. They were up nicely this past week. They came out with news saying that they are basically fully funded. Marathon came out with news that they are buying facilities as well, so that boosted their stock up as well. Bitfarms has been doing really well here over the last couple of weeks as well, up 695%. BitDigital up 635%. Cleanspark 571%. Argo 543%. Argo, I just don't know why they're pumping. There really isn't any news for them. Same thing with like DigiHost, Riot. I'm surprised that they aren't pumping because, well, they came out with news earlier on that they're going to get to possibly like 37 exahash in the next 2 years. So I'm a little surprised by that. I think maybe there's some fear of dilution there happening with them. Mollison, another one that's really no reason why that one's pumping other than they got some hosting customers that they're working with. But other than that, nothing going on there. Same thing with Sphere 3D up 400%. DMG up 399%. TeraWolf up 298%. Hut 8 up 280% right now. Hive 275%. BitDeer 269%. And Bitcoin being up 168%. So all of the miners here have pretty much outperformed Bitcoin so far year to date. Year to date, 52 weeks basically from last year. Which is also the case where a lot of these guys were basically bottoming out right around this time, right around towards the end of December of last year. So that's why we're possibly seeing some of these huge gains as well. But nonetheless, they have done pretty well here. Now, when we look at the red bars here, the red bars are how far the miners are away from their 52-week highs. So we do have a lot of them that have reached their 52-week highs here or surpassed them. That includes Core getting up above $1 here recently. Marathon, also Iris Energy, Bitfarms, Cleanspark, Argo, and DMG, along with Bitcoin, have reached went above their 52-week highs, basically. Okay, and the other ones are still lagging behind that process there, and we'll see where they actually end up going here going forward. All right, so now when we look at the weekly process here, see how the miners did. We can see here on the weekly that Sphere 3D had the best week. It was up 106%. Again, for really no reason. I think the main reason for this is investors saw the huge gains in some of the miners that we've seen, like in Cleanspark, Marathon, Bitfarm, some of the other ones as well. And they're just trying to find all the beaten down stocks that they can get into to possibly pump them up. That's the only thing I can think of, because there's really no fundamental reason as far as why these stocks are up so high, okay, other than them being way down before. So we saw obviously Sphere 3D being up 106%, Mawson up 95%, Core up 81%. Core obviously is going to be getting out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy, so there's a reason for that one, why that one might be pumping. Argo, 67%. Like I said, really no reason there, right? They're pretty much tapped out where they are right now as far as growth, and nothing really new going forward, so a little strange there. DMG up 58%, Cypher, right? So these are all of these, except for Cypher, but I would say DMG, Argo, Mawson, and Sphere 3D are one of the smaller miners that we cover here. And they've had a huge rally here this past week. Okay, Marathon up being up 46%, Hut 8, 41, Iris 39%, Hive up 38%, BitDeer up 29%, DigiHost up 27%, BitDigital 21%, TerraWolf up 20%. Then you got Ride up 13%, Cleanspark up 11%, Bitcoin only being up 4.93%, and Bitfarms is just up barely. But Bitfarms had a huge rally here in the last couple of weeks. So I think it's just taking a little bit of a breather right now, or people are kind of switching out from Bitfarms, maybe Cleanspark, some of the ones that have really pumped nicely here in the last couple of weeks, and they're transitioning over to some of the other miners that were undervalued, potentially. Okay, and then I'm also tracking this from basically Friday to Friday, so that's why you're seeing Bitcoin being up 4.93% from last Friday to this Friday. Okay, now we look at the 4 weeks here. We can see here that Sphere 3D again up to the most here, 266%, followed by Core up 220%. Then we probably have to go to Mawson up 145% as well. Then we got BitDeer up 104%, Marathon up 94%, Bitfarms, like I said, 80% here from 4 weeks ago. Cleanspark up 55%, Bitcoin's only up 13%. Excuse me, and then everybody else, for the most part, has done better than Bitcoin over the last 4 weeks, excluding DigiHost, which was up only 11.7%. Okay. Now, if we look at the 8 weeks chart, things get a little bit different. We can see here that at this point, Mawson still is up the most here, 234%. Sphere 3D up 190%. Then we got Argo up 189%. Marathon up 183%. Followed by Cleanspark up 167%, with Bitfarms up 155%. You got BitDeer up 156%, and Iris 139%. Bitcoin's only up 26%. And then we got who's done worse here. The only one that's really done worse is possibly Hut 8 and Cypher over the 8 weeks here. Now looking at the 12 weeks, going out basically 3 months out, we can see here that Bitcoin's up 57%. Top gainers were Mawson 250%, Argo 240%, Marathon 230%, Cleanspark 217%, Bitfarms 179%. And then we got Iris 141%, DMG up to 135%, Sphere up 134%. And the only ones that have done worse than Bitcoin looks like right now BitDeer and Hut 8 from 12 weeks ago. So you can see how those are changing from basically week to week, or 12 weeks, 8 weeks, and 4 weeks, and how some of the ones that have had the most gains here over the last 12 weeks, 8 weeks, have been kind of depressed a little bit here over the last week or so. Okay, but still a huge growth here, and obviously a lot of these guys are doing a lot better than Bitcoin is, which is nice to see. We do have the spot Bitcoin ETF happening possibly here in the beginning of January. We'll see if that gets approved. You can see here was a nice, basically, we're almost pretty much green here for all of these except for Cypher here on the 8 weeks. But everybody else has been doing really, really well. Looking down here on the weekly chart, we can see that we've had one green week. We had a mixed week the prior week. Prior to that, we had a pretty good green week again. So we had pretty good, basically 3 weeks out of the last 4 where we were in the green. Prior to that, we had a pretty good green week here as well. So maybe you can say 4 weeks out of 5 weeks we were in the green. Then we had 2 weeks in the middle there that we were in the red. And prior to that, we had another 3 weeks that we were in the green. So it's starting to look a little bit more greenish here going forward. And you can see here from basically July through, this was October, we were pretty much in the red here as far as the miners are concerned. Bitcoin had a couple weeks here where it was in the green, but overall it was majority in the red. And we saw that, right? So, and that could be based on the news. Well, what really got us out of this, I think, was the news for the spot Bitcoin ETF possibly getting approved in January, right? The percentage of people thinking that it will happen, or the likelihood that it's going to happen, it was like 90% now. Or some, but yeah, I think it's 90% right now. So that is obviously helping drive the stocks up higher. Bitcoin price going up higher as well is helping that out. And so it's just, and plus we're getting good news from the miners as well. As far as growth, then we also have the Bitcoin transaction fees included in that as well. That's driving further growth or further revenue in the miners. So that's also pushing them up. So it's just one good thing after another thing that's really helping us out this time around. Okay, but we'll have to see how we end up the year. we have basically another week in the year before we have the new year. And then we'll get into 2024. I mean, I'm just shocked by how fast this year has gone. It's been a lot of fun. And we've shared a lot of data with you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, learned something from it. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. It's been, like I said, another great week that we saw here on the miners. The miners have had a fantastic year this year, which I was surprised by because based on last halving cycle, I thought they were actually going to go down. Last halving cycle, the miners were actually going down. About 12 months prior to the halving event, we had kind of a similar, possibly close to a similar event happening this year. We were up 6 months the first of the year, and then after that, basically from July, we were going down, which was about 9 months away from the halving event. So I thought that was going to continue. But things obviously changed a little bit with the spot Bitcoin ETF happening, and then the transaction fees being added on top of it. It all boosted the miners up more so. So we'll see. We'll see how things progress here before the halving event. All right, but that is it. Thank you so much for coming in to watch this. Spreadsheet is always going to be available to our Patreon members. That is $5 a month. That includes a private Discord channel that we are a part of, and we have a great time there communicating on the miners and talking about the miners and other things in there as well. So that's all part of it. And if you buy the yearly thing, it's $10 off, or 10% off, sorry. So you save that way as well. Other than that, I think we'll just leave it at that. I want to wish you guys a happy holidays. If you're celebrating Christmas, Merry Christmas. And then there's obviously people from all over the world. So I don't know which holidays you guys are celebrating. So I'll just leave it at happy holidays to everyone. Wish all of you peace, prosperity, health as we go into the new year. So hopefully you guys are thankful for something in your life, which is always a good thing. Okay, but I'll leave it at that. So thank you so much for coming in. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys probably on Tuesday maybe. I'm not going to do anything tomorrow. Like I said, tomorrow's Christmas, and then we got Christmas Day on Monday. So no videos for the next 2 days. I'm going to be spending time with the family, with the new puppy as well. And then we'll get into stuff again on Tuesday. All right, so I'll see you guys then. Have a good one. Bye.